Hello and welcome to another edition of The Optimistic Gardener in the Kitchen. And welcome to my channel, The Optimistic Gardener. My name is Steve Farley. Yes, you've guessed it, I've definitely got a bit of a treat for you today. Today I'm going to be making you a Cornish pasty. Well, my take on a Cornish pasty anyway. I've mentioned before that I was in the Navy for 25 plus years. I'm originally a London boy, but most of my life I spent down in Cornwall. And one of our great treats as a sailor on a Friday afternoon was to finish early, get downtown, straight into the Horse and Jockey Bakery, big massive steak pasty, and then into the pub. There's a long history to the Cornish pasty, and it's intimately associated with Cornish tin miners, and tin mining was a massive industry in Cornwall back in the 1800s into the 1900s, and the staple lunch for your ubiquitous tin miner was to take a pasty down the mines with him. And I didn't actually realise that Cornish tin miners, a lot of Cornish tin miners migrated to Michigan in the States back in the 1800s, and it's now quite a local dish in Michigan, the Cornish pasty, and it's actually been taken on by the Italian and Finnish miners that were there and have come ever since. So there's a bit of a history to the pasty. So how do we make a pasty? Or at least this is my version of a pasty. So for my recipe today I'm going to use 250 grams of flour, 125 grams of butter, one small carrot, literally picked about an hour ago, white potato, small onion, like I said, butternut squash, some steak and some nutmeg, also some thyme, a couple of sprigs of thyme and rosemary. And obviously the recipe's up there on the screen, and I'll be putting it on my bio of the video as well. So how do we get started? Well, I think first things first, I'm going to clear myself some space. And I'm going to peel this squash, the potatoes and the onion, and chop them up into around sort of 1 centimetre pieces. Also I'm going to chop up the carrots. So I'm going to chop all the veg up into sort of 1 centimetre cubes. Be right back. Okay, so I've chopped all the veg up, nice and around 1 centimetre cubes, and here's sort of a general idea of the size that you want them. So that's good. So that's the carrots, the onions, the butternut squash and the potato, all chopped up. And to that I'm going to add the thyme and rosemary sprigs, leaves picked. So I picked all the leaves off those, give them a good chop up, and they're going in there. Lovely smell off them already. That's good. I've also taken the liberty of chopping up the steak, and you can see there the sort of size chunks. About double the size of the vegetables, that's what I would do, or that's what I have done. Mrs F doesn't eat steak, so I've had to do her chicken, and for some bizarre reason she wants Stilton with it. So Mrs F is having a chicken and Stilton pasty. The Cornish tin miners would be turning in their grave, I think, but there we go, modern times. Okay, so we've added the herbs. Now we're going to add some spice. We're going to have a good, now the recipe calls for a whole grated nutmeg. I don't think we've ever had any sort of proper nutmeg around here, so this is powdered form. So I'm just going to give this a good couple of sprinkles of nutmeg, give it that extra bite and spice and mixture, some salt, a bit more, and pepper. There we go. And now just some nice bit of olive oil to bind it together and help it cook in the pasty when it's going. That'll do. Now the recipe I'm doing at the moment or the quantities are a bit different to what will be on the bio. So this is really just enough for me and Mrs. F. In the bio and on the recipe itself, that'll be enough for 6 people. So let's give this all a mix in. A bit more olive oil, I think. Mix that in. I better take some of this out now for the chicken pasty. Where's that? It's going to go there. Bit more. There we go. That's more than me now. Can't have that. Okay, so we'll just mix all the steak in. Give that a good mix round. There we go, there's our mixture. So on to the pastry. I've got 250 grams of normal white flour and 125 grams of butter. Now, in the recipe this is 500 grams and 250 grams because obviously it's for 6 people. So let's get the butter in there and just going to knead this butter in until it's all in little bits and well worked in. I forgot to put the salt and pepper in. It's always a good idea to put the salt and pepper in first, but we'll do this now. Now I've got my hands full of flour. Bit of salt and pepper. Give that a clean off after. To this I'm going to add 100 ml of water, may need a bit more, we'll see. So I want to make sure this is all well worked in, all the flour is worked in, but don't overwork it. I want a bit of sort of flakiness to the pastry, and if you're really good at flaky pastry, I'd definitely go for that. There we go. So, let's get some flour. Right, let's roll this out a little bit. I want to get about 3 or 4 cuts out of this. 3, 4. Right, let's put these aside. This one's mine. This into a ball. Right, so no laughing at my pastry making. This is my least confident bit of my cooking. Well, I've got a rolling pin. A bit of flour on the roll. Put that down aside. Give myself some room. Right, so we're going to roll this out into a circle. A sort of circle anyway. And the pastry wants to be about a coin width, or a coin depth, whichever. Enough to be able to take the, oh dear, that's definitely not a circle, but I get there in the end. Let's cut this out. So I don't want this to sound smug here, but it is so satisfying to know that all of those vegetables in that bowl are from my garden. And obviously the taste is going to be 10 times better as well. I'll give that a bit more of a roll out. Make it even bigger. Right, so let's get my stuff in there, get a bit of veg. It's actually, your traditional Cornish pasty is supposed to have, I think it's something like 70% is supposed to be vegetable. It's actually protected like champagne in the European Union now. The Cornish pasty is being made in Cornwall. I reckon I can get a bit more in there. Look at that. She's a beauty. Bit more steak on the edge there. Right. So we're painting these sides obviously so that they'll stick nicely. Let's get this nice edge. Oh, that's the oven ready. So we squeezed this out in this semicircle. So we've got a nice bit of filling in the middle. And now this is the important bit. This crust, start from the edge here, we're going to turn it over and then we're just going to fold the edges over. Now these edges, this crust is culturally important because when the tin miners went down the mines, they often had their hands covered in arsenic dust down the tin mines. Not very nice. So this crust was a really good implement so that they could eat their pie, leave the crust, which would have the arsenic dust on. I'll tell you what, every day's a learning experience, isn't it? There you go. I think that one's a beauty. Right, let's give that a nice paint. So we're going to stick this in the oven. The oven's at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to put these in the middle of the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes until they're nice and golden brown and smelling absolutely beautiful. Right, I reckon that's done. Right, there we go, 2 man-sized pasty in there, man-sized pasty. A Mrs F's chicken and Stilton. 30-35 minutes in the oven. Right, I'm going to have a tidy up and I'll be right back. Okay, the pasties are just nearly ready, but what I thought I'd say was I made a couple of other pasties, which I'm not going to eat now, I'm not that much of a pig, but they can easily be frozen, so I've just wrapped these up and I'll stick them in the freezer and they'll last a good few weeks. There we go. I think that's the pasties done. Beautiful. So we've had a bit of a leakage off Mrs F's, but mine looks okay. Oh, there we go, look at that. Absolute dancer. Nice and crispy. To add a bit of sophistication to the dish, I'm just going to put some tomato ketchup on the side. Now obviously you can have this with anything, vegetables, a salad, but what you've got to have is a beer. So there's the beer. Let's have a taste of this. This is going to be very hot, and this, you know, as all pies, will be hot for quite a while. So I'm not going to be eating too much, but let's have a little. You can see there, that's all cooked nicely. Oh, got the steak end, just the good end. I should have waited a few minutes actually before eating this, but there you go. You can taste the rosemary and the thyme. That steak's done just well. So, I'm going to leave the rest of this to cool down for a few minutes. All I know is, as the Cornish say, she's a bloody beauty. So, that's it for me today. I'm going to be tucking into this in a few minutes. So cheers, job's definitely a good one.